The whole building is burned through!
Fuck politician! Fuck everybody!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming to you live from the heart of Kathmandu, where the energy in the streets tonight is both tense and inspiring. The demonstrations that began as small gatherings of frustrated students have now swelled into what many are calling the largest youth-led protests in recent Nepali history. This is being referred to as the GenZ protest, a name that reflects the generation driving it forward. Young men and women who feel ignored, who feel betrayed, and who now refuse to remain silent. As we look down the streets from this vantage point, thousands of voices are rising into the night air. They are shouting in unison against corruption, against mismanagement, against a political class that they say has failed them time and time again. Many of the protesters are carrying handwritten signs, some in English, some in Nepali, but the message is universal. We want dignity, we want honesty, and we will not stop until we are heard. The crowds are young, overwhelmingly young. Most are in their 20s, some even in their late teens. They have grown up in a Nepal that promised change after conflict, a Nepal that promised opportunity, a Nepal that promised transparency. Instead, they see a system that still stumbles under the weight of corruption, unemployment, and empty promises. For them, the GenZ protests are not only about today, but about every tomorrow they feel is slipping away from their grasp. The atmosphere is charged. It is not simply the sound of slogans, but also the steady beat of drums, the shrill of whistles, and the deep rhythm of marching feet. Entire blocks are lit up with candles and phone flashlights, held high in the air as a symbol of light against the darkness they say surrounds their government. It is both festive and fierce. There are groups chanting, others singing folk songs, some even dancing as a show of resilience. But underlying all of this is a deep sense of determination. These young people are not here for entertainment. They are here because they believe this is the only way left to claim their future. Earlier in the day, we watched as waves of students poured out from universities and colleges, forming long lines of marchers that snaked through Kathmandu's narrow streets before converging here at the central squares. They carried banners with bold red letters calling for accountability, calling for an end to corruption, and calling for jobs. One banner read simply, "No more lies." Another said, "Our future is not for sale." The creativity of their slogans is matched only by the raw emotion behind them. There is a noticeable presence of police. Riot shields and helmets glisten under the streetlights. Lines of officers are positioned at key intersections, standing shoulder to shoulder. So far, the situation has remained largely peaceful, but there is always the possibility of escalation. Earlier, we saw a brief standoff near one of the side streets where protesters attempted to push forward into a government-controlled zone. The police raised their shields. There was shouting, a few plastic bottles thrown, but after tense minutes, the crowd pulled back. Both sides seemed to recognize that tonight, the eyes of the world are watching, and neither wants to be the first to cross the line into violence. Still, the risk hangs heavy in the air. The protesters know that history is not always kind to movements like these, yet they also know that silence is no longer an option. They speak openly to us, telling their stories. A young woman named Sushmita, barely 21 years old, told us she has been attending protests every day this week. "I want my children to grow up in a different Nepal," she said. "We are tired of corruption, tired of leaders who only care about themselves. We are not afraid anymore." Another protester, a young man named Ramesh, a recent college graduate, shared his frustration. He studied engineering, worked hard, and yet after 2 years, he still cannot find stable employment. "Every opportunity goes to someone with connections, or money," he said. "Why should we stay quiet? We are losing everything." This protest is our last hope." His words echoed through the crowd, as many nodded in agreement. The GenZ protest is more than anger. It is also a cultural moment. It reflects the rise of a generation connected through technology, sharing messages, images, and live videos across platforms. What happens on the street is instantly broadcast to phones across Nepal and beyond. The young generation is using the very tools of the modern world to amplify its voice. They are organizing online, communicating instantly, and ensuring that no attempt to silence them can succeed completely. Observers note that this is not simply another protest. It is a generational awakening. It is about young people realizing their collective power, realizing that when they stand together, they cannot be ignored. Some older citizens have joined them as well, parents walking alongside their children, grandparents holding candles. They say they are here not only to support the youth but also because they, too, feel betrayed by years of failed leadership. It is a multi-generational demand for honesty, but the face of it remains the youth, standing front and center. As night deepens, the chants grow louder. The protesters have set up makeshift stages where speakers step forward to share messages. Some are students, some are activists, others are ordinary citizens. They speak with passion about their experiences, their frustrations, their dreams. Each speech is met with thunderous applause, whistles, and chants. The crowd is electrified. Meanwhile, the government has released cautious statements. Officials insist they are listening, that they recognize the grievances of the youth. Yet the protesters are skeptical. They have heard similar promises before. They want concrete action, not words. They want reforms, not announcements. They want results, not excuses. And until they see real changes, they say they will not leave the streets. Across the city, the protests have disrupted daily life. Shops have closed early, traffic has been rerouted, and some businesses have shut down completely. Yet many residents express quiet support. Some stand on balconies clapping as the marchers pass. Others hand out bottles of water or food to the demonstrators. It is a reminder that while not everyone can join the streets, many share the same frustrations. Internationally, the protests are drawing attention. Images of young Nepalis holding flags, chanting against corruption, and demanding justice are spreading quickly. Analysts say this is not only a local issue, but part of a larger, global trend, youth rising to demand accountability. From Asia to Africa to the Americas, a new generation is stepping forward, refusing to accept the same cycles of corruption and deception. Nepal's GenZ protest has become another chapter in this global story. As the hours pass, the determination of the crowd does not fade. If anything, it grows stronger. Even in the chill of the night, people continue to arrive. Small groups merge into larger ones, swelling the numbers. The sound of drums echoes across the city. The rhythm is contagious, pulling more and more into the movement. There is no sign that they will stop tonight, or tomorrow, or the day after. We are witnessing not only a protest but a declaration. These young people are declaring that they will not be fooled again, that they will not accept the burden of corruption passed down from one generation to the next. They are declaring that they are ready to take ownership of their future. The risks are real. Arrests have already been made in past days. Some protesters have faced tear gas, others injuries. Yet their numbers keep growing. The fear that once silenced them has turned into courage. The silence that once kept them at home has turned into a roar that fills the streets. As we continue to watch, the chants rise again. The words are simple, but powerful. We want justice. The sound rolls like thunder through Kathmandu's narrow streets. For those here tonight, this is more than politics. It is about life itself, about the future, about dignity. They have decided that even if it takes days or weeks, they will continue. Ladies and gentlemen, What we are witnessing here in Nepal is history in motion. It is the voice of a generation refusing to be silenced, the courage of a people refusing to be deceived, the power of unity standing against corruption. Whatever happens next, one thing is certain. The GenZ protest has already left its mark. It has shown that the youth of Nepal will not wait for someone else to deliver their future. They will demand it, fight for it, and claim it themselves. And as we stand here surrounded by thousands of voices, we are reminded that the cry for justice is universal. The demand for dignity knows no borders. The courage of youth in Kathmandu tonight is a message to the world. When leaders fail, the people will rise. When corruption continues, truth will fight back. When silence is imposed, the voice of the people will break through. From this live scene, it is clear that the GenZ protest is not simply a moment. It is a movement. And tonight, that movement is alive, burning brightly in the streets of Nepal.